Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Jonathan Fuentes, and this is my YouTube channel dedicated to clearing up common Christian misconceptions. Today, we're going to look at the question, why did God tell Abraham to kill his son Isaac? A few weeks ago, the lead singer of a popular Christian band called Hawk Nelson, the lead singer actually announced that he no longer believes in God. In his lengthy Instagram post, he brought up some of the reasons why. Although it's towards the bottom, this was actually one of the reasons that he gave. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the struggles and the doubt he faced, and how hard this must have been for him. But if I'm being honest, the things that he brought up in his list, Christian philosophers and theologians have been answering for many years, which makes me wonder, how hard did he really look for the answers? As a matter of fact, even though I already knew the talking points that I wanted to make, just to test it, I googled the question, and the very first search result that came up was from the Bible Project, and they did a very good job of answering the question. This is just another reason why us as Christians need to be more involved in apologetics. Now, if you don't know what that is, I actually have a video about it right over here that you guys can check out, where I just talk about why it's important. But let's get into the question. Now, the very first thing that I want to bring up is I want to see what the Bible actually says about this. So a quick overview for those of you guys who aren't familiar with the story. In Genesis 12, we read about God calling a man named Abram, whose name would later be changed to Abraham. God wanted to use Abraham to launch his plan to rescue and bless the whole world through one man, and he wanted to do it through his family. However, there's only one problem. Abraham didn't have any sons, and his wife was barren. So fast forward a bit, and we see that God is actually faithful to his promise and blesses Abraham with a son. But once he grows up, God tells Abraham to take his son and to sacrifice him. Now, this is just a super quick summary, but if you want to read the story for yourself, you can read it in Genesis chapters 12 through 22. Now, I'm going to give 3 reasons that the Bible gives for what's really going on here. The first point is, this wasn't Abraham's first encounter with God. The truth is, Abraham already knew God at this point. He knew his character and he knew that he was righteous. The second point is, Abraham didn't think that Isaac was going to die. In Genesis 22, Abraham actually gives hints that he was going to return with his son. Hebrews 11:19 gives us a better insight. Abraham knew that God could resurrect his son if he wanted to. The third point is that this is actually a foreshadowing of what's going to happen with Jesus. Jesus is the true Isaac. Now, if you want to read more about this, I actually have a link to the article about the Bible Project's website that I mentioned earlier, and they go way more into depth. Now, these are just some of the reasons that the Bible gives. But let's see what happens when we look just a little bit deeper and look at the time period that Abraham lived in. The Bible tells us in Genesis 11 that Abraham actually used to live in Ur of Babylonia, and then he traveled to the city of Haran. The people of Ur actually had their own gods that they worshipped. And what was one of the ways that these people used to worship their gods? By sacrificing children. So Abraham, as a man, he was surrounded by the idea that if you wanted to worship a god, if you wanted to please a god, child sacrifice was a good way to do it. So the real God used this in order to meet Abraham where he was at. Like I said, Abraham was no stranger to the idea of sacrificing children to please God. So that's why he was more okay with it than probably most of us would be. But the difference is that God didn't demand child sacrifice. By God telling Abraham to do this, he was showing him that he is different than all the other gods that he knew or ever heard of. This is just one of the many things that we can actually learn by looking back at the time of Abraham. We could even look back to see what gods specifically they were worshiping. But the main thing is that God was just showing Abraham that he was different, that he was real, and that he wasn't like all these other false gods. Anyways guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I tried my best to answer this question in a quick way, but also that you guys can have enough information to walk away with this with a deeper understanding. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments down below. Also, let me know of any other misconceptions that you guys have heard that you want me to tackle next. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, take care, and God bless.